Hi, welcome to Bar Cart Bookshelf, a video series about books and the drinks they inspire. My name is Elias, and today we're looking at Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. Now this is the first in our October spooky season series, and while Under the Whispering Door isn't as scary as some of the other books we'll be looking at later this month, it is still a wonderful addition to any autumnal spooky season reading list, especially if you, like me, aren't always the first to reach for those scarier books on the shelf. Under the Whispering Door is the story of Wallace Price, a high-powered, irascible attorney who, at the start of the novel, finds himself at the end of his life, rather unexpectedly, and he winds up at Charon's Crossing, a tea room operated by Hugo, a ferryman, this psychopompic figure who's employed to help newly deceased spirits on to the next stage of their afterlife journey. And because it's a tea room, I thought it would be appropriate, instead of a cocktail, to do a tea-based mocktail this week, employing some of the motifs that Klune uses in the book and that the characters discuss over the course of the novel. So without any further ado, why don't we turn to our drink, 3 cups at Charon's Crossing. Now, this is named because of one of those motifs in the book, this idea that everyone who comes to the tea room will have 3 cups, the first as a stranger, the second as an honored guest, and the third as family. And so we're going to try and explore some of those ideas as we make our mocktail. Our first ingredient, our base, is peppermint tea, freshly brewed and then chilled. And we're going to get 2.5 ounces of that in there. So this will be a little bit larger than our usual cocktail build, but you really do want that tea to come through. This is the tea that Wallace gets served when he first arrives, his special tea. And it's one of my favorites as well, so it's been a real joy over the past week or so to play around with it as an ingredient. And now we're going to get some of our modifiers in there, our sweeteners, our other flavors. The first is a honey syrup, equal parts honey and water. One of the nice things near the end of the book is Hugo is described as smelling like honey. He is definitely a sweet and wonderful character, and I'm really happy to get a bit of him in there to soften some of those sharp, bright edges that we get from the tea and the prickliness of Wallace. We'll get 1/2 ounce of that honey syrup in there. And then get, for the Whispering Door itself, it's got this sort of bit of light and bird song and this sort of ethereal whisper to it. And to represent some of those ideas, I've got this lemon cordial that I made, lemon zest and sugar to form sort of citrus oil, and then the fresh lemon juice in there. And that's going to blend. It's not going to be quite as sharp as your fresh lemon juice. It's going to add some of that oily depth of flavor that you get from the peel. And we're just going to get 1/4 ounce of that in there because it is a nice assertive ingredient and one that we'll be seeing more over the fall. I'm looking forward to playing with it. So now we've got that sort of classic combination, tea and lemon and honey, this healing, sort of like the journey that Wallace goes on while he's at Charon's Crossing and finding the joy, this sort of love, both familial and platonic and romantic in the inhabitants of Charon's Crossing. Then to bring just an added bit of balance and another citrus note, I've got some orange bitters. These are Regan's orange bitters. They're a nice dry one. We're going to get a few dashes of that in there. It's going to add some depth of flavor. It's going to add just a bit of bitterness as well, but still retain that citrusy brightness, unlike some of the other bitters that we will play with. So we've got our 4 key ingredients in here, and Now we're going to add our ice. Now, because we don't have fresh citrus or dairy, we would ordinarily expect to stir this drink. But one of the things that Wallace talks about later on in the novel is how he needed to have a shock to his system. And so to represent that shock to his system, we are actually going to shake this up. Going to get it light and frothy, going to get some extra dilution, and bring an airiness to it that we wouldn't otherwise get if we did that traditional stirring method that would preserve the velvety texture of the honey syrup and the cordial. So we've got our ice in there. We're going to give that a shake for about 10 seconds. Excellent. Till it's nice and chill, a little bit frothy, and then we'll take our hawthorn strainer and strain that into our Nick and Nora glass. And it is just the perfect size. That's one of the nice things about these Nick and Noras. They have that little extra bit of space. So if you get something slightly larger, you're good to go. And then finally, we're going to garnish this with a fresh orange peel. I've got my Y peeler here. I'm going to get a nice, excellent, broad bit of peel. It's okay if you get a little extra. And then I'm going to express the orange peel over there. You can get those orange oils out of the peel and onto the very surface of your mocktail. This is a tribute to one particular character in the book whose bit of the narrative I found especially moving, but I don't want to give too much away and spoil the delight of the book. But that's going to add just an extra little bit of delicate aromatic flavors. So there, with the garnish, our drink is complete. And this is 3 cups at Charon's Crossing for T.J. Klune's Under the Whispering Door. The book is available now. It made me cry, and that's not something that happens often when I'm reading, so it's a really high recommendation from me on that. Try the drink. Let me know what you think. Remember to like and subscribe. As always, I've got a written version of the recipe on Twitter and Instagram. Links to both of those in the description below. And until next time, cheers.